Hey, in today's video, we explore the complex case of the Menendez brothers, who made headlines with their high-profile trial for the murder of their parents. We'll look at the events leading up to the crime, the dramatic courtroom proceedings, and the controversial defense that sparked debates across America. It has shocked people globally, and its impacts are likely to be long-lasting. When kids started talking about wearing robes and lighting candles, it was clear there was a sinister undertone. The authorities are still sifting through evidence and pursuing a suspect who the FBI has flagged not as a victim, but a criminal. The news was shocking, unbelievably so. On August 20th, 1989, in their upscale Beverly Hills home, Kitty and Jose Menendez were fatally shot. What was particularly shocking was the location, Beverly Hills, where such crimes are rare, especially in their affluent neighborhood. The crime scene was horrific. Blood was everywhere, highlighting the savagery of the act. Autopsy results and crime scene photos revealed Jose Menendez was shot 5 times, including a close-range shotgun blast to the back of his head. Kitty Menendez suffered even more, with 9 shots, one being at point blank to her face. Upon arrival, police found the couple's sons, Eric and Lyle Menendez, visibly distressed, initially treated as victims by the investigators. No clear motive was determined immediately. Speculation included a robbery or a hit, but nothing was confirmed. As investigations continued, the high-profile status of Jose Menendez, a major Hollywood executive, added to the shock. This was a man who had climbed the ranks in Hollywood swiftly, embodying the American dream. His family, including his wife Kitty, a woman he met and instantly fell in love with, seemed like the perfect American family. But beneath that facade was a dark reality. 7 months after the tragedy, the arrest of Eric and Lyle Menendez flipped the narrative, turning them from grieving sons to prime suspects. Public sympathy shifted dramatically as details of their extravagant lifestyle post-murder emerged. The brothers' spending spree and their sudden wealth accumulation raised suspicions. As the trial began, it wasn't just a legal battle, it became a media sensation. The brothers faced charges of murdering their parents with potential death sentences. Their trial exposed not just a family tragedy, but a story of alleged abuse and fear, shocking the public and dividing opinions on their guilt and the nature of their defense. As the defense began, it threw everyone off guard with claims that weren't expected. The story of abuse and the possible justifications for their actions, suggested by the defense, completely changed the public and media perception. The idea that the brothers might have acted in self-defense because of being abused for years started to circulate widely, challenging the initial perspective of them simply being greedy and cold-blooded. Eric and Lyle Menendez, the sons, had lived what many saw as a charmed life. They were well-educated, with Lyle attending Princeton and Eric accepted at UCLA. Their lifestyle seemed perfect from the outside, wealthy, successful, and privileged. It was hard for people to understand why individuals with so many advantages would commit such a horrific act against their own parents. The notion that it was all about money seemed plausible because their parents' fortune was substantial, but the defense was painting a different picture, one of fear and desperation. During the trial, details emerged about the brothers' spending habits after the murder, which did not help their case. They had spent large sums on luxury cars, designer clothes, and other expensive items, which seemed to indicate a lack of grief or remorse. This spending spree was heavily covered by the media, adding to the public's growing skepticism about their innocence. The complexity of the case was evident as the trial progressed. The defense argued that the brothers were victims of a lifetime of abuse, both physical and emotional, which had left them in a state of constant fear. This claim was met with mixed reactions. Some people started to question if there was truth to the allegations of abuse, while others saw it as a tactic to gain sympathy and a lighter sentence. As more information about the family dynamics came to light, the image of the Menendez family started to shift. What was once thought to be a perfect household was now being scrutinized as potentially dysfunctional and abusive. The trial not only became a legal battle, but also a public debate on issues like family secrets, abuse, and the influence of wealth and social status. The prosecution, however, maintained that the brothers were motivated by greed and had planned the murders to gain access to their parents' wealth. This narrative was supported by the fact that the brothers had purchased shotguns shortly before the killings, which prosecutors pointed to as evidence of premeditation. The community and the nation watched closely as the brothers' fate hung in the balance. The courtroom was filled with tension every day as both sides presented their arguments. The high-profile nature of the case meant that every detail was analyzed, not just by the jury, but by the public through the media. This case had become a spectacle, one that raised as many questions about the media and public perception as it did about the guilt or innocence of the Menendez brothers. As the trial continued, it was clear that the outcome would leave a lasting impression on all involved, highlighting deep societal issues about family, privilege, and justice. The unfolding trial attracted massive public attention, captivating audiences with each new revelation. As the defense put forth their case, they presented a narrative of long-standing emotional and physical torment that the brothers allegedly endured at the hands of their parents. This strategy aimed to evoke sympathy and justify the brothers' actions under the concept of self-defense, suggesting they believed they were in imminent danger. Throughout the proceedings, the courtroom was filled with intense emotions. Testimonies from friends and family added layers to the brothers' characters, painting them as victims of their circumstances rather than cold-blooded killers. This perspective was new to the public and jurors, complicating the previously straightforward narrative of greed-driven murder. The defense highlighted the brothers' psychological state, supported by expert testimonies on the impacts of long-term abuse. These experts discussed the potential for psychological scars and trauma, suggesting that the brothers' actions, while drastic, were a result of extreme stress and fear for their lives. This angle was critical in shifting the narrative from one of simple murder to a more complex, tragic family saga. On the other hand, the prosecution worked diligently to dismantle this defense, emphasizing the premeditated nature of the killings. They pointed out inconsistencies in the brothers' stories and questioned the legitimacy of the abuse claims. The prosecution argued that the brothers' lavish spending after the murders indicated a lack of remorse and a motive driven by financial gain rather than fear or self-defense. As the trial advanced, the public's fascination grew. Media coverage was extensive, with daily updates that fed the audience's hunger for every detail. The story was not just a trial, it had become a national drama, reflecting larger themes of American wealth, justice, and morality. The intense scrutiny from the media and the public placed enormous pressure on everyone involved. The courtroom dynamics were theatrical, with each day bringing more dramatic revelations that seemed straight out of a crime thriller. This spectacle made it difficult to separate the emotional narrative from the factual evidence, blurring the lines between entertainment and the serious business of law. The brothers themselves became central figures in a story that seemed to epitomize the ultimate fall from grace. Their background as privileged youths, their sudden descent into infamy, and the shocking nature of their alleged crimes kept the public and the media engrossed. Discussions about the case were not limited to the facts. They delved into issues of morality, parenting, and the influence of societal expectations on personal behavior. As the trial neared its conclusion, the anticipation for the verdict reached a peak. The defense had presented a compelling case of abuse and fear, asking the jury to consider a verdict that recognized the complex psychological background to the crime. Meanwhile, the prosecution urged for a strict interpretation of the law, emphasizing the planned and brutal nature of the murders. The community, the media, and viewers nationwide awaited the jury's decision with bated breath, aware that the outcome would not only determine the fate of the Menendez brothers, but also leave a lasting impact on public discourse about family violence and justice in America. The trial of the Menendez brothers concluded with both Eric and Lyle Menendez being found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They were sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The verdict followed a highly publicized trial that captivated the nation, raising significant discussions on issues of family violence and the American justice system. Despite the defense's efforts to frame the killings as an act of self-defense stemming from years of abuse, the jury's decision reflected a condemnation of the brothers' actions as premeditated murder. As we reach the end of this deeply troubling and complex story, we're reminded of the broader implications of family dynamics, justice, and how society interprets actions born out of hidden suffering. The Menendez brothers' case leaves us with more questions than answers about the limits of self-defense, the hidden scars of abuse, and the often blurry line between victim and perpetrator. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think the verdict was just, or do you see the Menendez brothers in a sympathetic light? Let's continue this discussion in the comments below. If you found this video insightful and thought-provoking, please give it a like to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analyses and updates on similar cases. Share this video with friends and family to get their perspectives too. Thank you for watching.